Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Sports Tavern. I hope you're doing very, very well. As you can see, Andy and I are both here. Oh, I've got the wrong thing up there. There we go. That's what I was meant to be doing. Yeah, neither of us are hiding our affiliations very well, nor are we trying to. I mean, let's be honest. But we are representing Man United and West Ham particularly, but also just sports fans, football fans. Yeah, it's just one of the things I think we wanted to do with this is just have a place where people could be both nerdy and sporty, not have to be ashamed of either, and live their best life. So there we are. As noted, I am Hamish Goblin Squire, and I have with me
Andy, the Geek Curio.
There we go. So the plan for today, this is our first. Imagine I'm boiling in a hat and scarf. I mean, possibly.
I'm really hot.
Can't possibly comment. Yeah, that's true. We can mop our brow if all else fails. So the plan for today really is we're going to talk a little bit about our respective teams' seasons. We're going to talk about the England squad that has been announced, the provisional England squad that's been announced for the Euros. And we're going to talk a bit about the group that England are in as well. I am actually, although I don't sound it, I am actually Scottish, so I'll be talking a little bit about Scotland at that time as well. Hello, good to see you, Carlos and Lenore. Very nice to see you. So we're just gonna kind of crack on, but we do welcome comments, questions, any thoughts from chat. This is all just part of the chat experience. So do get involved if you have things that you want to shout at us. But why don't we kick off? Let's have a look at West Ham first. How do you rate West Ham's season, Andy?
Where do I begin? I mean, this is something that could well last a lot longer. I mean, first of all, we had a fantastic season. We ended sixth, which was not expected at all. I think to me it's like a few years back when Leicester won the Premier League in, was it 2016?
So long ago already.
Yeah. I mean, West Ham are a club that's constantly being written off, constantly being overlooked. A lot of the big clubs, the big six, tend to poach players from West Ham.
How dare you?
Paul Ince, Rio Ferdinand.
Did Michael Carrick? Michael Carrick,
yeah.
And obviously Chelsea took a lot as well, like Lampard, Cole. They've been raiding West Ham as well, but a few years ago now. But
yeah. But no, we've just had a fantastic season. It's the first year I didn't buy the current team's jersey.
Right.
So I don't know if that's got anything to do with it, which means I probably won't be buying next year's kit either.
Sports, athletes and sports fans do tend to be very superstitious, don't they?
Extremely superstitious, yeah. And it even got to the point where, I've been having heart troubles beginning of the year. I decided to stop watching West Ham on TV altogether because I think it was the Tottenham match nearly killed me.
Yeah. Obviously, we'll come to the Man United side of things in a little bit, but I'm also having heart problems. Brothers in heart problems. That UEFA Europa League final is not what I needed for that. No, so I'm quite with you on that kind of things. It must be a little bit kind of bittersweet, I guess, because it did look like for quite a while, like West Ham had quite a good chance of getting into the Champions League, didn't it?
It did, and I think it's very easy to point to the things that didn't go well for us, and the biggest one was losing Declan Rice for a couple of weeks. Declan's, a lot of people don't want to say it out loud, but it's almost like the new Bobby Moore.
Interesting. That's a big shout. Bobby Moore, it's obviously West Ham and England legend, captain of the '66 World Cup winning squad.
Yeah. So that is massive boots to fill, and I don't think anyone would actually dare put that in writing at the moment. But I've seen some tackles that he does, and it's I've seen him tackle players like a certain Brazilian player that Mr. Moore tackled in the 1970s and the 60s. I think it was Jairzinho.
Right.
And he's just as a player this year, he's completely grown, and I think playing with Souček in the middle of the park has massively benefited his game and West Ham overall. And to think we did this without a striker, throughout the
Yep.
entire season.
Yep.
We do not have a striker. We've got people who fill in the striker role, but we do not have a striker at all. So
I was really impressed with Mikel Antonio playing. I've been a fan of Mikel Antonio for a while actually, but I think he had some really good games for you guys. And obviously Lingard when he came was playing very well. He wasn't really playing as like a striker, was he? But he was.
No, I think it was just a case of first of all with Mick, he's a player who gives his absolute all, and he always has been. And doesn't matter where in the park he's playing. I mean, I've seen him score a goal while playing at right back when 2 seasons ago when Zabaleta and I can't remember who the other one was injured, so we literally had to put Antonio in right back, and he managed to score a goal in that game. He's a winger naturally, but like I say, he's a very strong and powerful person. He's got speed, and he's quite bulky as well. So he's an absolute nightmare for defenders. And I think having Lingard come into the squad as well just gave it an extra dimension. Lingard was playing mostly left wing, I think it is, but I think he's drifted more into centre now.
I think he always, from my experience, so Lingard obviously is, Lingard is on loan at West Ham from Man United. So he's a player that we both have seen play quite a bit. I always think he likes to play centrally. And I'm not sure he necessarily has the pace to play out on the wing very much. I think he's good at finding space and making little runs rather than using his pace to beat people. So I tend to think of his best position as being in the middle.
Yeah, I would agree. I mean, we've got a packed midfield. I mean, I don't think there's a club that's got more midfielders. Man
United have got a lot of midfielders, just most of them are rubbish.
Yeah, well,
Souček again was another player that I was really impressed with. Souček. I'm just going to say quickly, Carlos has said that there was a Copa Libertadores game where he didn't watch the second leg of Gremio's playoffs, which I assume is in reference to the superstitious thing again. It is amazing the lengths like fans will not watch games of their own team because they think somehow them watching miles away at home makes a difference. It's such a strange idea, but we all do that kind of thing somehow. It's it is a strange old thing.
Definitely.
But
yes, you mentioned Souček, and I reckon, I know we're going to talk about this later on, but I think he could be one of the players of the tournament in the Euros this year. He's got such a work ethic. Apparently he covers about 15k on a match on average, or well, not on average, but they've known to, they do all the stats nowadays. They see how much ground a player has covered. And it came up to, they worked out something like 15k in one match, between 10 and 15k, and to think in 90 minutes he'd be doing that much running. I mean, there was I can't remember what match it was. I'm not even going to try and think because I'm going to make an idiot of myself. But the one where he collided with the goalkeeper and then got up ready to take the corner, and then the referee stopped the match because there was blood literally all down his face and he hadn't realised.
That's a very like Terry Butcher moment, isn't it?
Very, very Terry
I'm trying
Butcher.
to think, when was that? Was that Italia 90? Was that even older than that?
I think it was the Euros 88.
Right, yeah.
So I remember Stuart Pearce sometimes playing with... was it Mark Wright? Mark Wright was Italia 90, I think. Right. He was a Liverpool player and he ended up being bandaged up.
Probably, if he's a Liverpool player, that's probably why. I don't remember it. That's probably why.
But it reminds me of that. And you got to remember, we got Stuart Pearce on our coaching staff as well.
Oh yeah.
But
Psycho Pearce.
Yeah, the team mentality you can see on the pitch, you can see off the pitch, you can see in the interviews they have after the matches. I mean, I was reading a article with David Moyes, and apparently Stuart, because they have to travel by bus now, right. Stuart Pearce has a pub quiz on the bus on the way into to and from the matches. And it's just it's been an absolute revelation. I mean, I've had to have my other Manchester United friends to explain to me what happens at the top end of the Premier League, because
getting nosebleeds, that's the trouble.
Yeah, nosebleeds, and didn't have a clue what's going on, because everyone's going, "Oh, you're going to be in the Champions League," or "No, you're going to be in the Europa League," "No, you're going to be in the Europa Conference," and I'm like,
I know. Did you get Europa? No, it was Conference, wasn't it? Europa Conference.
No, we got Europa
League. Okay, sorry.
I don't know why. I think it's something to do with Leicester winning the FA Cup.
Right. Yes, because the
I
FA
think
Cup now gets you. I know, because that would get you a place in the. I don't think that
no,
gets you the
the
Champions
FA
League.
Cup got Leicester a place in the Europa League,
So
and
then
but
they don't need it from their league position.
yeah,
Yes. So Leicester finished fifth. So
yeah,
that then drops down. Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
yeah.
Keeping things.
I mean, the best thing was the last day of the season. I think I was speaking to you on the Saturday, wasn't it? And I said, "How do you feel about tomorrow?" And you're like, "Oh yeah, we're not really bothered. We know where we're going to be and everything."
Yeah.
And I was like, "Well, I'm sweating buckets. We absolutely have to draw or get something from a game against Southampton, because Tottenham could pinch the place from us."
Yeah.
And as any, not just West Ham fan, but any London football fan would worry about is Tottenham getting one over on anyone, because to us, we don't mind Tottenham team players, but it's the Tottenham fans on.
The one that got me is I know Arsenal fans like to talk about the time of year when it is when they go above Tottenham, because they traditionally kind of start slowly and then go past Tottenham late in the season, and it looked like the last day of the season they were going to do it this time for a while, but it didn't quite happen. So Tottenham did manage to finish higher. But yeah, it does slightly make a mockery of the idea of the big six English teams who were going to be part of this European Super League. Two of the teams finished like 8th and 9th or something, didn't they? Tottenham and Arsenal.
Yeah, we didn't think of it as a top six. We thought it was a top five and Tottenham.
And they still finished ahead of Arsenal. So what does that say about them?
Exactly.
Anyway, I don't want to. I'm in danger of being mean about other teams, which is not the idea. Really.
I know. I know. The thing is, it's like there's kind of like open season on one team in particular, but
Yeah.
I'm trying my best to be. Yeah, I'm trying my best to be.
Yeah. But overall, anyway, I think that counts as a great season really for West Ham, doesn't it?
Yeah, like I say, I think it's the depth in the squad is going to be a problem. Like I say, when we started missing players, we started to lose points. How we're going to do that whilst fitting in a game every Thursday as well, it's going to be tough going. So I'd like to see some players promote from the youth team. We've got a couple of good strikers in there, but we still desperately need a striker. The good news is Moyes doesn't panic buy.
Yeah.
He's not just,
I mean, I am going to just say that first summer at Man United, Marouane Fellaini, I might disagree with you about Moyes panic buying, but I know it's not really his standard thing. But yeah. But I really like David Moyes as a manager. I think he's a very good manager. I think both when he came to Man United, I think he maybe wasn't quite ready for that step up, and I think also he just wasn't given time. Anyone following Alex Ferguson, no one is going to do as well, because Alex Ferguson, I know I'm biased. I would say he is the greatest manager in modern British football. Certainly, I'm not going to try and compare him to.
He's actually, and I read this stat, he's actually the most decorated football manager ever.
Wow.
And that's without question. He has won more trophies. Yeah. He's the most successful football manager of the world, apparently.
Wow.
So you don't need to be biased about that at all. I mean, yeah, there was a time when I was jealous as a West Ham supporter growing up in the 90s and watching Man United win absolutely everything. But as a grown man, I can look back and think, you know what? He knew what he was doing.
Yeah. But I know a few people have kind of said that when he left Man United, the club just didn't really know what to do. I mean, he'd been in charge for 20 years, so,
It's the same with Arsenal right now.
Yeah. Post Arsene Wenger, they're having a lot of the same trouble. Yeah. So.
And you'll have that with any club that's got a manager with such a legacy.
Yeah. Just want to say thank you, Rexish. That's very kind. Say Rexish is enjoying the chat and amazed at the knowledge. There you are.
I would love to know if people do have a team that's close to heart. Maybe not a team that you follow, but a team that, I don't know, maybe you watched a match sometime in the past or something. I'd love to know what teams people like.
Yeah, I think we've probably got quite a spread here as well, because I know we've got, we've got sort of Brazilian, Portuguese, German, English as well. So yeah, give us a shout. Yeah. We may even try and talk a little bit about some of those teams, but we won't be quite as knowledgeable. But we'll give it a go. But I thought I'll have a little bit of a chat about how I figure the Man United seasons went as well. So we can kind of get through that. And I think I'm going to say for me, the season was a qualified success, very qualified. I think in the last few days, Solskjaer has come out and said he doesn't consider this season a success because we didn't win a trophy. And I think there is definitely something to that. And I think obviously having got to the Europa League final, would have loved to have won that. But I think when we kind of compare this to last season, when we finished third, we got to the Europa League semi-finals, and this season we finished second. We got to the Europa League final, lost the Europa League final on penalties after 22 penalties were taken. Slightly ridiculous. So I think for me, what I'm looking for at the moment is progress. And I think Solskjaer is right, and I think it's the right attitude for a Man United manager to have, to say this season wasn't a success because we didn't win a trophy. But I think it makes more sense to compare this season to last season than it does to compare this season to, I think 2013, I think is when Alex Ferguson retired. So in that time, we've only won, we won the Europa League under Jose Mourinho. I think we won the FA Cup. Yeah, because Lingard scored the winner in the FA Cup a few years ago for us.
We won the Charity Shield.
Charity Shield.
We were reminded of that when we first hired David Moyes the first time around.
Right, okay.
It was literally David Moyes, winner of the Charity Shield in his first season. And we're like, that's his first game.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, we've won one or two, but I think it's unrealistic to say we should be. I am always critical of teams and fan bases that say because we're a big team, we deserve to be winning trophies. We should be winning trophies. I think you have to do that on the pitch, don't you? I mean, there's no other way of doing it. So, we finished one place higher in the league. We finished something like 20 points closer to Man City than we did to the champions last season. Like I say, we got to the Europa League final. We came very close. We didn't play our best game in that game, to be honest. And so we didn't win. I am a big Ole Gunnar Solskjaer fan. I think he's actually done really well at Man United, in my opinion. I know there are a lot of people out there who don't think he has.
No, I fully agree with that. I really admire him for what he's done there.
Yeah, and what he is trying to do is get us back to the place that we were. Maybe to say when Ferguson left, that would be. That would probably be optimistic because we were still winning a lot of stuff back then. But to get us challenging for the if next season, even if we don't, I would be surprised if we win the Premier League, to be honest, next season. But if with a couple of games to go, we're still in it, that again is progress. So we came second by 13 points or something this season. If you get to within 2 or 3 points, that again is progress. And yes, I'd love to see us winning everything next season, but that's kind of what happened a little bit when Jose Mourinho came in. So Jose Mourinho came in, at that point we'd been finishing like 4th, 5th, really not doing great. He came in, we finished second, we won the Europa League. I'm trying to think, maybe we won the League Cup under him. And then halfway through the next season, everything had just fallen apart because the focus had been on winning that season. Whereas Solskjaer's focus is building the club, getting the club back up to be challenging for those things.
I think what Man United's problem is the legacy. I mean, basically, players always went to Man United to win trophies because you knew you would win trophies playing for Man United. And I think a lot of that mentality is gone now because Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has done a fantastic job of letting players go that had that mentality, and it's kind of like you look like a challenging team again. I think there's still a few holes in the team that just need to be resolved, but I think you resolved a lot of them midway through the season. If you look at the first half of the season compared to the second half of the season, massive improvement. De Gea's gone now, isn't he? He's out of contract.
No, he's not. But the rumor is that he's being sold.
Yeah.
The rumor is that he's going back to Spain, and that Dean Henderson will be Man United's number 1 next season.
And I think you need a consistent goalkeeper. You need a Schmeichel. De Gea's been absolutely fantastic.
Are you suggesting that we buy Casper from Leicester just so we have a Schmeichel?
You should, yeah.
Just for brand recognition.
Yeah, but I mean, basically, when you think about if you start from the back, I mean, I remember the days of Jim Leighton, who was a fantastically safe pair of hands.
That is a while ago.
Yeah, yeah. Then you had likes of Schmeichel and you had Van der Sar.
Van der Sar was a very good goalkeeper. But
Barthez.
again, Fabian Barthez, Massimo Taibi, who's the guy who famously let the goal in through his legs on his first appearance, I think it was. We've had some really good goalkeepers, and then we've had some rubbish. Let's be honest. I'm trying to think of a polite way of saying this.
I think inconsistent's the best one to say. I mean, David De Gea on his day is the best goalkeeper in the world.
Absolutely.
But he's not been consistent in the past few seasons.
And honestly, even like we had Tim Howard for a couple of seasons, and he was a really good keeper on his day. But his day wasn't every day. Unlucky goalkeeper, Spellerian suggests. And the same thing, with Ben Foster went to Watford eventually. Didn't quite nail down a place at Man United. So there's been quite a few of them. I think Dean Henderson still has some growing to do, but I think he is a very good goalkeeper, and I think he will be able to fill that void.
Yeah.
So let's have a quick chat. What do you think? The season's now ended. The transfer window opens imminently. What do you think West Ham need in the transfer window?
Another half of the squad, to be honest with you, but
I mean that's a fair point. Would you say the priority for West Ham is building up squad depth for the extra games that they'll play in the Europa League and things like that, rather than a new star central midfielder or whatever?
Yeah, I mean, I think we're going to keep Rice. I don't know how much longer we're going to be able to keep Rice.
I think there's just been a follow, but it hasn't popped up on my screen. So if there was, thank you very much for the follow, but it hasn't popped up for me. I don't know why.
If we don't let any of our players go, I know we've let Balbuena go on a free. He's out of contract now. Bit disappointing because I really liked him as a defender. But it is what it is. I think we've got Dawson and we've got Ben Rama, who's now starting to show what he can do. Last day of the season, but he's so hopefully that will do. But it's going to be up front. There's rumours we're going to get Alex Kral, who's a Czech player, currently playing in Moscow. I just said Moscow, the American way. Sorry, Moscow.
You all right?
So
we are talking soccer, so it's fine.
Yeah, it looks like we're probably going to be raiding Sparta Prague again. So their striker, I cannot remember his name.
Is that where Souček came from?
Yeah, Souček and Kufal.
Right.
And also the Czech ambassadors turned into like a West Ham supporting team as well. We literally had we got Isla Canton. We got a daughter of some West Ham supporters who's currently battling leukemia.
Right.
Hodgkin's lymphoma or something. And even the Czech Republic and Sparta Prague started offering kits for auction and everything. So quite clearly, Sparta Prague want to do business with us.
Yeah. No, that's good.
So yeah, their striker, the guy who scored against Leicester in the Champions League, I wouldn't mind him. There was also a player, and I cannot remember where he's from. I think it might have been RB Leipzig, but his speed was unbelievable. And it was like, if you ever wanted a player to replace or compensate Michail Antonio, that would be the guy. And it is just like a breakaway goal, and I can't remember what it was, but he looked absolutely brilliant. But I'd say a striker, Lingard, please.
I'll tell you what, you can have Lingard. We'll take Declan Rice. Fair deal?
Yeah.
No, you're not going for that one. Straight swap?
No. Rice and Lingard are besties now, so they have to play in the same team.
Oh, well, in that case, we won't let you have Lingard, so that Rice will come and join him.
That's all right. We'll just have Sancho then.
Yeah. Oh, well, once you've
No,
parted with that 120 million or whatever it is they want.
yeah, I mean, like I say, that's just dream territory there. We're not going to get players of that caliber coming here, but there are players who are interested in coming to West Ham because they see the stadium, they see London, they see now we're playing European football, and it will be easy to get them. The problem is we always seem to get charged a lot more than we should. I mean, Felipe Anderson's the prime example. So we put a bid in. He was worth 25 million. Had 25 million accepted, but then our chairman went and said, "Oh yeah, we're giving Pellegrini 75 million to spend." So of course the chairman of Lazio said, "Oh, we can't let Anderson go for that."
Yeah.
And now look, he's very disappointed with him.
I hate to say, but maybe that's why Prague are so keen to do business with West Ham, because they get more money than they think they're going to. I mean, I'd be happy to do business in that situation as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I think Alex Quala's a extra midfielder, 2 strikers, please, and the rest I'm happy to start promoting people from the youth team. I think we need a goalkeeper, and the names being touted, I'm not that excited about. I think we were after the guy from FC Porto, but I would go for, I think it's Nathan Everington. He was a Cardiff City goalkeeper, and I think he's moved to somewhere else in the Championship.
Yeah, he played for them in their last season in the Premier League, didn't he?
Yeah. I was really impressed with him. But then the Fulham goalkeeper, was it Areola or something?
Alphonse Areola. Yeah, I think he was only on loan from PSG though.
He was on loan, so
Yeah.
I think I wouldn't mind him either.
Yeah, he's a good goalkeeper. I tell you what, you could. I mean, Aaron Ramsdale, who's now in the England squad, he's being relegated for the 2nd season in a row, so maybe you can get him. But I have to say, I don't rate him that highly. But well, there we are.
Yeah.
There we are.
Yeah. What about Man United? Who would you like to see? I mean, like I say, you currently linked with everyone from Haaland.
I mean, that's part of the problem with Man United in the off-season is United are linked with every player in the world, basically, who's half decent, which does make things a little bit more difficult. I've been hearing a lot. I think it was I think Owen Hargreaves and Rio Ferdinand were saying about they thought United needed a new centre-back, a new central midfielder, and a new right winger. I would say I agree with that to a degree. I do think we need a new centre half. I really like Eric Bailly, but he spends half the season injured, which is obviously unfortunate, but you can't rely on that. I don't think Victor Lindelof is quite at the level that we need. I really like Axel Twanzebe, who's the youth team player who's got a few games, but it feels like Solskjaer maybe doesn't trust him to step up. So in that instance, we would need a new centre back. I mean, you can come up with all kinds of wish lists, can't you, of who you'd like to get? We've been linked quite heavily with Rafael Varane from Real Madrid, who I think is a really good defender, but I don't think we'll get him. Yeah, there's all kinds of names floated about.
I like, and I'm kind of annoyed that the team actually suddenly noticed that he's actually good. Liverpool defender, he was filling in for Van Dijk.
Phillips?
Nathaniel
Phillips? Yeah.
Nate Phillips, that's it.
Yeah.
And I think he's got a massive future ahead of him, but whether he will hold down a place in Liverpool when their team's at full strength.
Yeah, and I've just seen today Liverpool apparently are signing a new centre back as well. So I think from I was going to say from Leipzig. That's not right. I might have been thinking of Upamecano, who's going to Bayern. So I'm not sure, but they've apparently Liverpool are buying a centre back at the moment. So
I think Nate Phillips is one for the future, and he's going to be like is it Harry Wilson?
Oh yeah,
they shipped him out on loan to Derby. Absolutely set the Championship alight.
Yeah,
shipped him out to Bournemouth. Didn't. And I think Nate Phillips is someone who would do really well. I think
it's Konate from Leipzig. I was right. It was RB Leipzig. Thanks, King Evie. I thought it was Leipzig, but then because they're selling up a Upamecano to Bayern as well, they're not going to have a defence left, are they? But
No,
yeah.
I think Nate Phillips at Liverpool's probably, one to watch anyway.
Yeah. Yeah, so I think I do think we need a new centre back at Man United. I think probably they're right about central midfield. Solskjaer likes to play two quite deep lying midfielders, and hi Pete the Priest. Oh yeah, hydrate. I can hydrate for that. That's all right.
Oh, yeah, me too.
So I think Matic will probably go. I really rate Scott McTominay, actually. I think he's really good. Donny van der Beek hasn't really worked out, but whether he will next season, now that he's got another season. I mean, we joked about Declan Rice before. I wouldn't mind taking him in our midfield.
Yeah,
but
the thing is, Rice would probably fit well in every single team.
Yeah, and I mean, again, we're talking about like wish lists. I'd love to get Erling Braut Haaland. I think United, rather than needing a right winger, need a new young striker. So it slightly depends. If Mason Greenwood continues to play like an inside forward kind of a role, then I think what we need is a new striker. Because Edinson Cavani has been playing great, but he's 34, I think, maybe even 35 now. So he's got maybe another season, maybe 2 seasons. Who knows? I mean, he could do Ibrahimovic and still be playing when he hits 40. But
yeah, that's insane. Ibrahimovic like my age or something.
Yeah, he's definitely older than me. Zlatan Ibrahimovic. And I've got plenty of grey in my beard, so you can tell he's getting on a bit. But so if Greenwood is going to be that kind of understudy to Cavani, I think we do need another kind of winger. But if Greenwood, they see him staying out on the wing, I think we need a new striker, if that makes sense. So, I mean, people have been talking about Haaland, they've been talking about Sancho. I mean, they're both great players, aren't they? Let's be honest. I wouldn't say no to either of them, but each of them is going to cost us vast amounts of money. So
yeah, and the Bundesliga is a very different league to the Premier League.
Yeah.
I've seen a lot of German players come over from Germany, and it's very much sink or swim. Not saying there's anything bad about the Bundesliga. It's just a completely different. It's very much a less aggressive, I'd say.
So like the question in chat is, would you take Emi Buendia? Who, and I'm going to guess that's about Man United.
Yeah, for West Ham, we'd take anyone.
I'll get my boots on.
We couldn't fill the subs bench last season, so I don't know who that is, but we'll take him.
I think I would. I mean, partly it depends. You were talking about the amount of money that people get from West Ham. One of the things that I find from the Man United thing is it's not even that the clubs take that much, but when a player joins Man United, they want to be on big money salaries, which you understand. I'm not criticising that at all. If a big, if in an industry I was in, one of the big names came in for me, I would want a big salary too. But I don't see Emi Buendia like enhancing the first team. So therefore, it depends. If clearly we have an issue with squad depth as well, because in the Europa League, Solskjaer didn't bring on a substitute until the 110th minute or something. Something like that. Certainly the same team made it all the way through 90 minutes, and then he brought on some subs in extra time, some of which it seemed like were just for penalty taking. And obviously we scored 10 penalties in a row, so that kind of worked. But there was talk at the time about whether he should take De Gea off and bring Dean Henderson on. Because De Gea hasn't saved a penalty for something like 6 years or something. Anyway, that's going off on a tangent. So I think we do need to build squad depth at Man United as well, because clearly a lot of those players, if to talk about Donny van der Beek again, I don't think he's suddenly become a bad player having gone to Man United, but clearly Solskjaer doesn't trust him to go in and change a game. So therefore, I think what we need is some more strength around the squad to allow us to do that. And obviously, if you buy a new first team player who forces one of the current first team players out, then you have a very strong squad member because they were previously in the team. But the other way to do that is to build up the squad around the first team. And I think, as I say, for me, we need someone in that attacking area, because if, let's say Cavani can play half the games next season, I don't know, that's just a guess, then for half of those games, we're going to need someone to play up front. I think one of the forgotten players at Man United is Anthony Martial, who was injured for a long time this season, which is why he wasn't playing. But I didn't see very much from him this season that suggested to me that he was the answer to Man United's striking position. My feeling with Anthony Martial is he's the kind of player who will still be able to do it at a great team, but I'm not sure that Man United under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is the team for him to play in.
No.
I don't think he's a bad player at all. I'm not sure he quite fits in the system that Solskjaer wants to play with the players that he has.
Okay, so I got a question for you, and it's quite interesting that we haven't mentioned this person yet, but Harry Kane.
Yeah. I mean, yes, obviously I would take Harry Kane. I just don't think he's going to go to Man United, honestly.
I think he's going to Manchester, but I can't see him going to Man United. And to be honest with you, I'll be very surprised that any team will pay what Tottenham currently rate.
Yeah.
They rate him at 150 million, and it's like
Tottenham are notoriously hard to negotiate with. Daniel Levy does not go for cut price deals. I think it depends. I don't necessarily see Harry Kane as the kind of person who will really push hard to leave. I think he'll kind of say, he's already said he wants to evaluate his options. I don't think he's the kind of person who will be refusing to play or, going on strike, that kind of thing.
Won't do that.
Yeah, King Evie says Kane would be silly to choose United over City. I mean, it's sad, but I kind of have to agree. Unless Harry Kane, I think he's potentially the kind of player who sees, if he's convinced by Solskjaer that with him in the team, it will take them to the next level, he can be like the talisman at Man United, where maybe at Man City he'd be a squad. But honestly, I'm trying to justify it. I think if the two of them come in and Tottenham accept both the offers, he's going to Man City.
Yeah, guaranteed trophy at City. But you got to remember, Aguero's leaving a hole in City, which Kane would make sense. He'll just slot straight in. But the interesting thing is with United, I see Kane very much in the same way that I saw Teddy Sheringham 20 years earlier, whereas you had
scoring for Man United in the Champions League final.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll take that.
Well, it's not just that, but Teddy Sheringham played at Tottenham for a long time. I mean, you got to remember he was Forest before that, but went to Tottenham. I think he won a FA Cup and a League Cup, and then went to Manchester United, and that's where his career really took off. And Kane could possibly be the person who unlocks United's drought and supply 40 goals a season in all competitions. But it makes sense for him to go to City. City is just, you might as well say, would you like to come and win the Premier League or win a trophy? You will win a trophy.
And I think so. King Evie is saying in chat kind of what I was saying before. He could become an absolute United legend if he goes there, leads us to win the Champions League, especially, but even the Premier League. We haven't won it since Ferguson left, so we're now what year are we in now? 8 years since that happened. So if he goes there, I could see that being an appeal. But part of the trouble is, honestly, it's hard for me to judge because obviously I would choose Man United because I'm sitting here in a Man United hat. But my brain says it makes more sense to go to City. But I think one thing we do need to bear in mind is Zinedine Zidane has now left Real Madrid. Real Madrid, there's been talk about Benzema being there for a long, long time anyway. He's been there. Is he going to go? What about Kane to Real Madrid?
Yeah, everyone says that's the obvious one, and I'm like, don't know. I just think that Kane could be what unlocks Man United, but the obvious choice would be go to City. But like what King Evie has said, it would mean so much more if he went to United. Yeah. And like I say, I'm coming from this as a West Ham supporter, so I've got no. Spurs, West Ham and City. Spurs, Man United and City, I'm not invested in anything, but to me...
Except you've already made your feelings on Spurs quite clear, but certainly on the United and City end. But
to me, I think he could be, like what you said, he could be a legend at United, yet he'll be a winner at City. But will he ever feel like, he wouldn't he wouldn't be the person who unlocks Man City to go on to the next level, because there is no next level for Man City.
I mean, unless they lose at Chelsea, not at Chelsea, lose against Chelsea at the weekend, in which case City are still chasing the Champions League. But yeah, I think that's all. Whatever. All right, so we did say we could chat on and on for ages, didn't we? But we did want to talk about the England squad, and talking about Harry Kane, the England captain, seems like a good enough way to head across. So I'm going to bring up the squad. Oh, we've got another. Also depends if he just wants to win a trophy or be a worldwide legend. No matter how big City are, United is still the first team people shout at you when you go abroad and mention you're from Manchester.
Yeah.
And I think that's, again, I am a little bit biased, but United do worldwide still have a bigger fan base than City,
but even in the UK, I'd say as well.
Yeah. I don't want to get into too much about this because it's slightly dubious territory, but I did see a report recently which said Man United do have more fans in Manchester than Man City do, which Man City have always claimed they have more. It's just that obviously as a proportion of their overall fan base, a smaller percentage are from Manchester,
But I think it's more a case of in the Champions League games, which club can actually fill the stadium and which can't, and it's going to be United all the time.
Yeah. Okay, so let's just flick over to the squad. I've got this from the BBC website, so thank you, the BBC.
Thank you, BBC.
So I think let's not, because we only got another like 20 minutes or so. So let's not go through every name on this list. But what I thought would be good to do is look at one or two names on here that maybe we thought didn't belong. I don't want to say that anyone on here doesn't deserve to be there, but names that maybe you feel like could be left off and who you think was unlucky to not be included in the squad, if that makes sense. I think I guess in some ways it's kind of easier to look at them together, like who would you leave out for someone else, but Ramsdale is 1,000% getting binned. I think, honestly, the goalkeeping kind of position is the weakest it's been in quite a long time for England, apart from like at the end of Joe Hart's time where he was really dubious. But like obviously again, Man United fan speaking, I like Dean Henderson. I don't think he's world class yet. I think he could get there. Yeah. Jordan Pickford for me is massively erratic. He's actually had quite a good second half of the season, but his first half of the season was horrendous. I don't think he's that great. Sam Johnstone, good, solid goalkeeper, fine. Aaron Ramsdale, been relegated twice in a row. I know it's not all his fault, but
Yeah, I mean, I can't. Yeah, once again, I've seen better goalkeepers than that. I'd probably rate Dean Henderson ahead of all of them. If I was to rate them in order: Henderson, Pickford, Johnstone. Johnstone's another one that West Ham's looking at.
I like that Ramsdale didn't even get fourth. There were only 3 rated in the list.
No, I think either you or I could probably do a better job as fourth.
I used to play centre back years ago. You can probably tell I'm a bit old for playing properly these days. I used to play centre back, and then but I was if anything happened to our keeper, I would drop back into goal. So Carlos is saying he's less aware of the current England squad compared to me. So I think there are a lot of young players in there, which I think is good in some ways. Mm-hmm. Sam Johnstone actually is another one who's been linked with Man United, but obviously as a secondary, like a reserve goalkeeper. I'll just say that quickly. I think the issue with the goalkeeping slot for me is I couldn't really name you anyone else that I think deserves to be there. I think Nick Pope is very unlucky because obviously Nick Pope is injured. For me, he would have been England's number 1 going into it. I would rate him. I would put him ahead of all of them, but he's injured. Yeah, honestly, I mean, I can't think of anyone else.
Yeah. Defenders. Like looking at there's just I see a lot of people who are just there because of who they are. I mean, there's people like Trent Alexander-Arnold, absolutely first class, deserves to be there.
I lost you there for a second, Andy. So I think.
It went all funny here.
Oh, okay, fair enough. But you're back now. Oh yeah, Darlow and McCarthy are both decent shouts. Carl Darlow at Newcastle.
But this, and this is another thing, is like when they actually looked at the stats-wise, the best performing defender in the Premier League, or one of them, top 5, And this is not me just being biased, but it was actually Craig Dawson, believe it or not.
Craig Dawson also got himself sent off a couple of times, which
He
worries
did.
me a little bit. And also, so Watford are kind of my second team because I spent a lot of time living in Watford as a youngster. So he's on loan from Watford, I think, at the moment, isn't he? But I think you might have...
Not anymore.
I was going to say, I think you had him loan with agreement to buy. So
yeah, after 20 games, I think it
right.
was.
Yeah, so that does worry me a little bit about him. I think Tyrone Mings, you mentioned there, there are a lot of people that I've seen who are saying that he's not even the best England defender at Aston Villa, who would say that Ezri Konsa, I think, would be a better option. We have so many right backs, don't we? We could feel the team of right backs. I feel really sorry. I know, again, probably my bias is showing. I think Aaron Wan-Bissaka is actually a really good right back. There you go. Konsa.
Yeah, why is he not there?
Well, Aaron Wan-Bissaka's not there because we've got right backs, Kieran Trippier, Ben Godfrey played there a bit, Reece James, Kyle Walker, Alexander-Arnold. I think for me, I would have put Aaron Wan-Bissaka in because I think he's the best right back, not the best right wing back. But in those games where, let's say, we're getting to the end of the competition and we're playing Germany, I don't know, and I think you want a solid defence. I think you want Aaron Wan-Bissaka. But as I say, I'm probably biased. I think there are so many good right backs.
I'm not biased, and I actually prefer Wan-Bissaka over Maguire. I know Maguire's centre back, but if I was to rate your back line, the Man United back line, I rate Wan-Bissaka ahead of him.
I've heard a lot of people actually saying that they think Wan-Bissaka should be converted into a centre back, which I can see the advantage.
I'd still keep him as a wing back.
Just really glad Eric Dyer didn't get in.
Yeah.
It's been a while since he was a very strong defender, isn't it? He's struggled for a while. But I mean, I guess you could say the same thing about Luke Shaw under Jose Mourinho, couldn't you? Maybe it's the Jose Mourinho effect. Luke Shaw looked terrible, but now he's had a great season for us.
Yeah.
But there we are.
Right. Connor Cody's an interesting addition.
Yeah, I think he's one that for me, I haven't seen all that much of all, so I don't have Sky Sports, and so I don't see all the games, but I watch all the highlights and everything that I can. But I haven't seen, Wolves obviously haven't had that great a season. I feel like Connor Cody maybe last season for me was a top defender. I haven't seen
I think he was better last season than he was this season.
I haven't seen as much this season that leads me to think he's that good. But I mean that could just be that I haven't seen it. I'm not saying that definitively anyway.
And I haven't got a clue what's happening with Trippier apart from the fact that they've just won the La Liga, haven't they? Mm-hmm. So he's now a league winner.
I'm going to say as well, this might be a bit harsh. Ben White, I know there's a lot of excited talk about him. There's been talk about him going to Man United, to Man City, to various foreign teams. I haven't yet really seen from him that, but maybe again that's being in a Brighton team which struggled again this season. Maybe that's what it was, but I don't know.
So midfielders, Mason Mount has been a revelation at Chelsea this year.
Yeah, King Evie, sorry, just to quickly says White is probably getting binned, so he probably won't make the cut. And I would agree with that. I think probably Ben White and probably one of the right backs, I would guess, won't make it, because they need to take 7 out, don't they? And that's for the 26. So, Mason Mount has had a great season.
And his best mate next to him there.
Declan Rice. Yeah, they like to play pranks on each other, don't they? I remember seeing things about that.
Yeah.
I think Mason Mount and Declan Rice you have to put in the squad. Again, my bias may be showing, but Jordan Henderson has been injured pretty much all season.
I don't know why. I don't rate him. I know he's a champion from last year and everything, but I don't think much of the guy. Sorry.
I mean, Jordan Henderson did play very well in Liverpool's title-winning campaign. I say that through gritted teeth, but he did. But being out pretty much all season, King Evie reckons James Ward-Prowse will probably go.
I don't know. I like James Ward-Prowse. I think he deserves. I think he deserves more of a place there than Jordan Henderson. But that, like I say, I'm partially biased. Yeah,
I like James Ward-Prowse as well, partly because he's always been an absolute beast for me in Football Manager, but he has a great dead ball delivery as well, which can be important. So I would quite like to see James Ward-Prowse on the plane. I don't think he would get in my first team, but I think he does offer something. Calvin Phillips is another one.
I think I think he's earned it.
Yeah, he's had a good season. And to be fair, Jude Bellingham again, he's still only like 18, but has had a great season.
Yeah, like I said,
Um,
a lot of English players seem to be going over to Germany and turning into absolute beasts.
yeah,
And like I say, we don't see them until they play for the England squad. So I'll be interested to see what Jude Bellingham's like, because I don't know anything about him, but obviously.
yeah. I'm most of the so. Funnily enough, having said that, I can't watch all the English football. I can watch a lot of the German football because that's on channels that I can get. And I also, like, my in-laws are German, so I kind of follow German football as well. Jude Bellingham has had a great season. A little bit better, if anything, I would say, than Jadon Sancho, who's had a little bit of a struggle this season, but he's clearly a quality player. King Evie saying Phillips will stay in the squad because Southgate loves him. That's probably fair, and maybe he deserves it. I'm not completely anti that. One of the ones that for me, I mean, I know Jesse Lingard. Obviously, we've both got a soft spot for Jesse Lingard, but is he going to get much game time? I'm not sure. Is he necessarily? Again, I think Southgate likes him, but is he the kind of player that if you have, 20 minutes left, you're down a goal?
It could be the form that carries him on, though.
Yeah, it could be.
I mean, you want informed players.
Yeah.
I still feel it's a little bit too late in the day for England for Jesse Lingard, but yeah, I've got a soft touch for him, and I'll be cheering him on. I'll be screaming every time he's got the ball.
Yeah.
But definitely, it would be nice to see him on the plane. I just hope that he can carry on the form that he took with West Ham into the tournament.
Yeah, I think let's move on to forwards, because we have managed to talk at great length about everything. We did want to talk about some other things, but we're going to do this again next week, I think. So we'll get to get onto some of that next week. So it's all good. But forward line, what do you think about that? I've got a couple of thoughts on this.
I think there's been some forwards who have had some fantastic seasons. I mean, obviously, you've got the obvious ones, so let's just ignore Kane, Rashford, and Sterling, all right? Because they pretty much are showings.
Raheem Sterling hasn't had the best season he's ever had, but he absolutely deserves to be in there.
He's had a quiet season.
Even as a Man United fan, it's I'm happy that Raheem Sterling is there. So
DCL had a fantastic first half of the season, very similar to what Tammy Abraham had last year.
Yeah.
Phil Foden has really shown that Man City don't need to spend big. They've got some good talent. Jack Grealish, fantastic player, probably the most arrogant person I've ever seen.
I think the difficulty again with Jack Grealish is he's been injured for quite a long time. He was fantastic before that. I don't know quite how fit he is now, and I think England have had a bit of a history of taking players who aren't quite fit. I mean, David Beckham obviously was a talisman when they did it with him, but it is a bit of a dubious one. King Evie saying Watkins isn't getting in and Saka will probably get binned.
I disagree. I think Watkins has got the potential of being probably one of the better strikers that England will see. However, I'm worried that he's going to have a Callum Wilson effect, where it's like he's getting good service from a team and scoring them, and probably not going to get it when he's playing in an England squad.
Yeah, that's potentially true. I actually like Bukayo Saka as well. I think the person I think is unlucky not to get a call up is Patrick Bamford, who was the second highest scoring English player in the Premier League. He only finished behind Harry Kane, so he outscored everyone else there apart from Harry Kane. And again, obviously Leeds and Man United have a bit of a history, but I'm in favour of him. I think Ollie Watkins had a great season. I think Dominic Calvert-Lewin had a great start to the season. For me, I think Patrick Bamford potentially deserves to be in ahead of either of them.
Mm-hmm.
But I agree. If
I was to drop DCL or Watkins, I'd probably drop DCL.
I think the only thing I would say in DCL's favour here is he's very different. Ollie Watkins kind of just feels like the same kind of player as a lot of them, and maybe not quite so good. DCL is a very different kind of an old school number 9, I guess.
I'm starting to warm towards what you and King Evie are saying, because Ollie Watkins does fit in he's like the Andy Coles, the Callum Wilsons, the ones who'd score a hell of a lot of goals, but it tends to be because of the service that they're getting.
Yeah, and for me, Dominic Calvert-Lewin kind of has the feel. This will be a horrible thing for me to say to a West Ham fan. There's almost a little bit about the Andy Carroll about him, like Andy Carroll on a good day, not Andy Carroll for his entire West Ham career. But there's a bit more of a physical presence.
Andy Carroll when playing for Newcastle.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. None of his other clubs. And like Rashford, Sterling, Foden, Grealish, even Greenwood are great on the ball, but they don't necessarily have that presence, I guess.
Do you know who Grealish reminds me of?
Who's that?
When I'm talking about playing,
Yeah.
Gascoigne.
I've seen some suggestions like that. I hope he doesn't have all the troubles that Gascoigne.
That's the thing. His arrogance makes me think he will.
I don't know. I haven't seen that much of Grealish to think that he's that arrogant. I don't know.
I've seen some absolute beautiful touches, stuff that you'd probably only see in like the World Cup when Brazil versus Argentina sort of thing.
Yeah.
I think there's some absolute brilliance, but I think he needs to be. I don't know. I probably just don't like him because he's just arrogant.
So King Evie says Grealish and Foden are two of our best players. I think the only possible way I would disagree on that is Phil Foden has had an absolutely fantastic season. Absolutely deserves to be there. Phil Foden for me is at least pushing for the first team, if not in there. Completely agree on that. My only concern about Grealish is about his fitness, really, and also, I mean, Southgate doesn't seem to really like Jack Grealish, and I think
He's an arrogant sod.
I'm sensing you also don't like Jack Grealish, but I think the concern that I have is sometimes you've seen in the past managers take players to tournaments because they feel like they ought to, but they don't actually like them, so they don't get a game. So why would you take, if this is, and I might be completely misreading the psychology of it, if Gareth Southgate doesn't really like Jack Grealish and is just kind of taking him because he feels like he ought to, but he's not going to play him, he absolutely shouldn't be there because that's a wasted squad space.
Oh yeah.
I think Grealish on his day, I completely agree. Grealish is top quality, but yeah, we'll have to see. If he doesn't play Grealish, he's an idiot. I mean,
I agree. I think Grealish is probably one of the most creative English players in the Premier League. I'm saying Premier League because obviously I think Germany's got the most creative ones.
It's a shame that Musiala went to Germany, but yeah.
Yeah, I think Grealish could be something very, very special.
Yeah, and King
It's just he needs to be taken down a peg or two by. He's carrying the ability, in my opinion.
Yeah, he is. But King Evie says he does seem like Gareth Southgate has his favourites, and I think I understand that, and I think that makes sense. That if you know, like, because we got to the semi-finals of the World Cup, the players that did well for you in that deserve to have the chance to keep going and whatever. I get that. I think there are strengths and weaknesses to that though, because you do have to be a bit adaptable and understand that some of those players maybe aren't what you need right now or whatever it might be. So yeah.
I realise we're coming close to the end of our hour.
We are. So
I haven't looked at the group, but Euro 2020.
Well, I think let's do. So I'll bring the group up really quickly. So we've got Croatia, Czech Republic, England, and Scotland. As a Scotsman, I think there's a lot I can say about this. It's the first major tournament Scotland have got to since '98, at which point I was 13. So it's the first one in a while that this happened. But I think let's save this. So let's talk about this next week because there's a lot to talk about here. There's also like who the teams would play if they get through, because I'm never a fan of aiming to finish second in a group, but having looked at the next stage, there's an argument that says second place actually gets a better draw. So let's look at all of this next week. And I also think in the next couple of weeks before the tournament starts, we can also look at who we would pick as our like 11s to go out in the first game. Could be quite a good fun way of doing it. So lots of things
especially for the good Scotland game, I think.
I feel like I'm not going to want to come on the show after England.
Just remember, you're Scottish, but I'm Irish.
True.
So you know, we both lived in England, and we are English, so we do have a.
I did say, just in case anyone didn't hear at the beginning, I did say I am Scottish, but I'm also part English. So I'm definitely not like anyone but England. I want England to win every match they play unless they're playing Scotland. That's the only time I don't want England to win. So, and let's be honest, that's not going to happen anyway. So, we'll go with that. Not much of a Scottish accent. I grew up in England. That's my issue. I'm back in Scotland now, but too late to shift the English accent. Okay, so we'll leave it there because we have had our hour, but it has been awesome, and I am already looking forward to doing this again next week. I think definitely through the course of the Euros, we'll keep kind of focusing on this through that, and then we can figure out what we want to do after that. But I think this is a shame as the Scottish accent is better. Can confirm Andy doesn't.
Yeah, he knows that. I can confirm that I've had to look after you on a certain Christmas do as well, Mark.
Good times. Awesome. Well, thank you, Andy, and thank you everybody for your comments and things. It's always great to have some people to interact with and everything.
I think the audience have been absolutely fantastic.
Absolutely.
It's been great.
And as I say, we'll be back next week for more of this kind of stuff.